Practice Date is the 4th episode of the 2nd season of Parks and Rec. This is directed by Alex Hardcastle, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I share some thoughts. I'm not going to go through the episode chronologically. I typically do that, but with this one, I will discuss it by part of the narrative. There are 2 main parts of the narrative, and actually my thoughts are not that extensive, but I did really enjoy it. There are a couple of specific things that I want to highlight as being worthy of note, things that I enjoyed, but in general, I just thought it was a really, really fun episode. We find out that Leslie is going on her date with Dave, and she's very nervous. And she asks Anne for some help, and Anne decides to take her on a practice date, which doesn't seem like a bad idea. They go to a restaurant, and it's basically an opportunity for Leslie to, well, behave the way she would on a date. And immediately, we can see that it's not going very well. So it's a good thing they had this practice date, because goodness knows what it would have actually been like. And then Anne tries to do something that I don't know if it was the right idea for Leslie, but for me as a viewer, I found it to be very, very funny. And she basically gives Leslie the worst date ever. This is to try and challenge her so that she can get past all of these possible scenarios. And basically, Anne is just not interested in this date. She is really awkward. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that. I think they could have had a little bit more fun with that. And they could have gotten a little bit more out of it, but what we did get was really enjoyable, and it actually became quite sweet. But first of all, we have to watch Leslie going to Dave's house late at night, drunk, and basically embarrassing herself. And one might think, well, maybe Dave doesn't want to date her anymore, because if that's how she's behaving, it's not the most ideal way to make a good impression. But the next day, Dave actually visits her at her work and brings her everything she left behind. I think her bag and earrings and a shoe. And she apologizes and said it was the most embarrassing thing ever. And then Dave mentioned that it was their first date and they can have a second date. And it was so sweet, and he's so lovely. And I really like him as a character, and I'm really keen to see what they do with the relationship there. The other part of the narrative focuses on, well, everybody else, basically. And they decide to compete to see who can find the juiciest dirt on another person. Basically, it's so if any of them ever runs for office, they can air their dirty laundry now and get everything out in the open, so there are no hidden skeletons in their closet. And it's a fun concept. And some of them come up with some really interesting things, and I won't spoil it by saying them all, but well, somebody found out something about Jerry, but it was also the first time Jerry was finding that out about Jerry as well, which was very awkward, but very amusing. And I'll say no more than Duke Silver. I won't say what that refers to. I know I said spoilers, but since I'm not doing a deep analysis of this episode, well, I've already spoiled the bit with Leslie, so I might as well give it away. I have said spoilers, so it's fine. Duke Silver is the alias of somebody. That's all I'll say. And I found it to be pretty entertaining and very well done, and I really enjoyed that part of it. I wasn't expecting to see certain characters in that kind of environment, and the way Tom's face when he saw Duke Silver come out on stage, it was just a picture. It was fantastic, and I really enjoyed how he responded to it. So I had a lot of fun with that as well. So in all, I think this is a really fun episode. Both of the main parts of the narrative worked out really well. Yes, I would have liked to have seen more of the terrible date that Anne was giving Leslie. I think that could have been a little bit more entertaining, but as I said, what we got was still pretty entertaining, so I can't complain too much. And from start to finish, I thought it was really entertaining. Practice Date might be one of the best episodes so far. It might not be one of the most thought-provoking or suspenseful, but it's funny. It feels very relaxed. A lot of the episodes up until this point have had quite a lot of twists and shocking reveals and unexpected moments. And yes, there were unexpected moments here, but I feel like it was a much more relaxed watch, which was quite nice. Practice Date is a pretty great Parks and Rec episode, and I'm looking forward to watching the next one. I did not expect to be saying that when I started watching the show. It took me 3 attempts to get through season 1. And I'm glad I did, because I'm really enjoying it, and Practice Date is pretty brilliant.